In this video, we're going to work on the message section. So the very first thing that we're gonna do is to work on here. Like if we click here, it will open up the section here, and we would be able to see the messages uh, for this chat, as well as we can reply from here. So let's get started. The first thing that we have to do is to capture the class or ID. We have a specific ID for each of the item, as you can see, because we are using the ID from database, and we have a common class name chat item. So we can use this chat item class. So in here we will gonna say body dot on click, and click on what? The class of chat item and anonymous function. Now what we have to do, when we click here, you see the hover effect is gray. So what we want to do is, when we click, this active chat should change the background color, so we actually know which one is the active chat. What we are going to do is to capture this and add a class. We can say like chat select, and we also wanna, because for instance, if we click on one chat and then click on another chat, it will add the class chat select for both of them. But we do not want to do that. We want to remove the chat select class from the other chat items. So for that, we can say siblings. It's a Jquery function. All the siblings, remove class chat select. And if we look at the section over here, you can see that we have two input fields. One is message, ID is message, name also message. There is another hidden field which we have name chat ID, and its ID is also chat ID. So we have to always update these two, make this one empty, and update the chat ID with the ID of the selected chat. So in order to do that, we have to get the chat ID, and we can get it like this dot enter, because we have ID in our chat item attribute. We're gonna say error ID. Remember, I showed you here chat item ID 7. So this is what we're going to use. Another thing is the input value, the token value actually, which is we're gonna find from here, the hidden value, it's named token. So we can say, we can trigger this ID, and then we can find this token name and then get the value. Same thing that we did in the previous videos. Find input name would be underscore token dot val. This is how we're gonna get the value. Now the third thing is to update the chat ID, and for that we'll again have to trigger this ID, because our chat input field is within this form. So we're gonna again do the find, and then we will check the chat ID, the ID that our field have, and then value we are going to update it with the c_id, the chat id of the chat that we just clicked. After that, we can just simply store this element into any variable, and then we can grab all the messages of this specific chat. But in later we will gonna have to use this function like tons of a time, so we will gonna create a separate function for messages. So I'm gonna just call it message load, and it will gonna have some parameters in it. I will gonna explain the parameters. So first we will gonna have like 5 to 6 parameters, and the parameter would be like, first parameter would be chat id, the second one would be token, the third one would be a limit, like how many messages do we want to retrieve from the database, and the fourth one would be, is it the first time you are accessing this function or not. You will gonna understand it later, but right now just keep going with me. And the fourth one would be the element, the one that we just store here. So we're gonna need it later on, so just parsing it to the function. So let me parse these first. Chat id, so we have chat id in this variable, token we have stored in this variable. We need only 10, so I will gonna just say 10. And is it the first time? What first time is that if you click on any of these, it would be the first time. Okay, like you click mark, it will be yes, the first time. If you click Ali, it will be the first time. This is what I meant about first time. So we're gonna say true because it will be working on that, and el is our element. Now we're going to create the function, and by default I will have to set the argument. So if there is no value selected for that argument, then we will gonna consider them as most of them null. Sorry, cid null by default if we do not select any. Token would also be null if we do not select any. Limit would be 10 by default. First would be false by default, and element would be null. So like as I said, most of them are null. Now we will have to check if chat id is not equals to null. If it is not null, and I said not equals, sorry, and I put equals. If chat id is not equals to null and chat id is not equals to empty, both conditions, then only then we will gonna send the Ajax request. And in Ajax request, our method would be as usual post. URL would be, this is what we will gonna create later, message list, because now we have to get the list of the message attached to the chat that we are accessing. Data would be a JSON object which consists of chat id, and we have chat id. Then we wanna tell the Laravel what's the limit, like how many messages do you wanna retrieve, and obviously the token, otherwise it will gonna give us the error tk. After that we can set the then function, and as usual resp would be our response, and it would be JSON return, so we will always have to do parse JSON, and then we can do a whole bunch of a condition over here, but for now let's just wait. So this is our condition, and now what we have to do is to create the message section. What I mean by that is to create the message table, the model, the controller, everything. So for that, I'm gonna have to do the same thing. Like you guys know, for the migration, I will have to go into my database migration, and then as soon as the migration for the message table will create, I will have to put it in the new and then run the migration, so I do not lost any of the data. And I will have to create the model and the controller. So head to my okay, so what we have to do is to write PHP artisan make migration. We can name it create message table. Migration has been created successfully, so I'm gonna add over here, and there you go. What I have to do is to copy, cut it, paste it here. Now what I have to do is to open this migration and work on it. So you guys obviously know where I will gonna find the migration in the new, because I have this one over here. For this, let me again go here, copy this, paste it here, and then copy this, paste it here and down. But we're gonna have to change the table name, MSGS, in short, MSGS messages. And what we need, obviously, the increment ID, the text, because we do not need a varchar, we need a long text field for message, and I was gonna say MSG. Then we would have, let me remove all this. I do not need a remember token. I need an integer, and it would be chat ID, because chat ID and the message will be connected to each other, and the user ID, so we can tell which user this message is from. So that's pretty much thing. I will gonna save it. Now I have to head over to my command line and find this command and hit it, migrate it. Okay, so if I head over to the database, and yep, we got this new table with all the columns that we need. Great. So this is the part that we have created successfully. Now we have to create the model and the controller. So let me try to find the command to create the model, make model, and it would be MSG. Model done. Now we'll have to find the command to make controller. Great. We're gonna say MSG controller. Okay, so it's look like that we are all set. If I go back here, we do not need that, we can close it. Home controller, we might gonna need it. Chat controller, and then we have this message controller right over here with the same way as we created the chat controller in the previous videos. Now we have to find the model, which is here, and also we have to open the chat model, and as well as this one message, because we have to build the relation like we did for the user. So I'm gonna just copy this, paste it here. One chat can have multiple messages, so I will gonna say MSGS, because we have multiple, so we gonna put S like same as user, belongs to many, and this I will gonna say MSG, and we will have to add it here as well, MSG, which is our model. Save it, and in here we're gonna have to add the chat model, and we can copy this, paste it here, and we can say chat, because one message is only belongs to one chat. It is not many to many relation, it is one to many relation. So we will not gonna say belongs to many, we're gonna say belongs to, simple. And here we will not gonna say belongs to many, we will gonna say has many, because it is one to many relation. So has many is the function that we will gonna use. Save this one, save this one, both of them, and look like that we are all set for this. We need to open a message controller. We can close both of them, and we have to open the message controller, and as usual, app message, we have to include our message model as well as app chat model as well as auth, because we will gonna use auth as well. If you guys remember, in our custom JS file we created one link here, a route which is message list. So let's build that route now. We will gonna have a host route which would be message list. Let me delete from here, and it would be message controller, obviously message controller, and we will gonna name it message list. But obviously right now it would be empty because we haven't created any message yet. First we will build a message list, and then we will make the functionality of send a message. So our route is built. Let's create this function in our message controller. I will gonna copy one of the dummy message that we already have. Copy the name from here. I can write as well, but copying is saving a time. And we do not need ID because we are not updating. We would just need a request from the server. And if I go back here to see what parameters are we getting, CID, which is chat ID, C underscore ID, the limit, and the token. What we need is to quickly find the chat that this message is gonna be into. Find request, and the parameter was CID underscore ID. Now we have to check, because the first request would always send 10 messages. If it is above than 10 message, then it's mean that we need message that is after the ID of 10. For instance, we send the records from 1 to 10. Now if our user requested again, like load more or something, the button there we will gonna create, then we will have to send the records of another 10, but not 1 to 10. It would be 11 to 20, then again 21 to 30. So to generate that functionality, we will gonna have to create one condition here, and we will gonna say request and limit. We will gonna check the limit. If the limit is greater than 10, which means the user clicked a load more button to get more messages, then we will have to write a different query, and we will gonna say, because we have a relationship model, we can say MSGS, and we can now add our conditions. Skip is the function that Laravel use to skip the records, and we will gonna say skip the records of 10 minus 10. Let me explain it to you in just a moment. Order by ID, again DESC, descending. Okay, one more thing, we forgot to add a take, which is limit, like take 10 messages. It's like a SQL query which we write limit 0 to 10, right? Which means it is saying that take the record from 0, which means first, and take the 10. So in the limit, we are saying take 10 and skip the request limit minus 10. So if we request first time, it will be 10. If we request second time, it will be 20. So second time it will be 20. So 20 minus 1, 10. So we are going to skip 10 records because we already got the 10 records before. Now the third time it would be 30, but we have already showed 20 records from the database. So 30 minus 10, 20. So it will skip 20 records and so on and so on. This is how we can provide the unseen or old messages to the user. If that doesn't make any sense to you, just wait. When you will see it is working, then you will understand. And if the record is not greater than 10, which means it is the first time, we just do not have to worry about take and escape. We can just simply send the normal first 10 records. So take 10 and no need to do any skip from here. And then we need to get me. Me would always be authenticated user, the one who's logged in. Now we need a response and tags as usual. So I can just go here and copy the whole piece of code from here and paste it here. And status would be 1 and text would be layout dot message list, not the chat list this time. So we're gonna say message, and rather than msg, let's say messages because it is a list. And me, save it. Now we have to work on our message list, which is under layout. So